Tonight's tale is inspired by a true event of a paranormal investigation by detectives Ed and Lorraine Warren. You have been warned, and enjoy tonight's story. In 1970, a mother, doting on her only daughter, purchased a Raggedy Ann doll from an antique store. The cute red-headed little doll was a present from her daughter Donna. Donna was at the time residing on her roommate Angie in a small apartment and preparing to graduate from college. Thinking nothing more than the doll that was a sign of her mother's affection, she placed the doll in her bed in her room and basically forgot about it. As time passed, both Angie and Donna noticed an air of strangeness about the doll. Apparently, the doll would move. These were relatively subtle movement at first, like a change of position, but as time passes, the movement became more noticeable. The doll was even found once standing upright, leaning against a chair with its legs crossed. After a while, the doll was said to have actually changed rooms. It would be left in the living room before Donna left for work, and upon returning, it would be found in her bed, in her room. A moving doll? Very strange indeed. About a month later, Donna began to find what she thought was penciled messages. They apparently to be written in the handwritten of a small child, scrabbling and almost illegible, and parchment paper. It could be seen as the message clearly stated, "Help us" or "Help Lou." Donna was uncertain exactly who the "us" was. Apparently, Donna had never kept that type of paper in the house either. So where did the paper come from? Could it have been conjured by the doll itself? Could a doll possibly be writing messages? If so, how? Donna came home one night and found the doll have moved once again. Only this time, Donna felt as though something was off. A menacing presence seemed to emanate from the doll, and she had the deepest urge to inspect it for some reason. What she found would haunt her forever. The doll had blood on it. Blood, or what seemed to be blood. A liquid-like red substance appeared on both the back of the hands and its chest. Now completely scared and desperate for help, Donna decided it was time to seek an expert. Something was going on, and she wanted answers. Determined to get to the bottom of things, Donna decided to contact a medium. The medium agreed, and a seance was held. Apparently, there was a spirit taking up residence in the doll, and her name was Annabelle Higgins. From what medium could determine, Annabelle Higgins was a young girl on her only 7 when her lifeless body was found in the field upon which apartment complex now stands. The details of her death never came to light. The so-called spirit basically took the residence of the doll and wanted to stay. Seeing no harm in it, and feeling sorry for the spirit had experienced in life, Donna agreed. The true nature of the doll, this entity, had yet to be revealed. Lou, a friend of Donna's, was less than thrilled about the doll on numerous occasions. Lou warned Angie that the doll felt threatening and sinister. Something was off, and Lou knew it. Lou's dislike of the doll was well known. He would have more than one terrifying experience with Annabelle. Here's the story of Lou's experience as related by the Wardens themselves. Lou awoke one night from the deep sleep and in a panic. Once again he had reoccurred bad dreams. Only this time somehow, something seemed different. It was as though he was awake but couldn't move. He looked around the room, but couldn't discern anything out of the ordinary, and then it happened. Looking down towards his feet, he saw the doll, Annabelle. He began to slowly glide up his legs, moved over his chest, and then stopped. Within seconds, the doll was strangling him, paralyzed and grasping for breath. Lou, at the point of exorcism, blacked out. Lou awoke the next morning, certain it was a dream. Lou was determined to rid himself of the doll and the spirit that possessed it. Lou, however, would be one more terrifying experience with Annabelle. Preparing for a road trip to the next day, Lou and Angie were reading over maps alone in her apartment. The apartment seems eerily quiet. Suddenly, rustling sounds come from Donna's room, aroused fear that someone had possibly broken into the apartment. Lou, determined to figure out who or what it was, quietly made his way to the bedroom. He waited for the noises to stop before entering the turning on the light. The room was empty, except for Annabelle, who was tossed on the floor in the corner. Lou scoured the room for forced entry, but nothing was out of place. But as he got close to the doll, he got the distinct impression that somebody was behind him. Spinning around, he was quickly to realize that nobody else was there. Then in a flash, he found himself scraping from his chest, doubled over, cut and bleeding. His shirt was stained with blood, and upon opening his shirt, there was his chest, what would look to be 7 distinct claw marks, 3 vertical and 4 horizontal. All were hot like burns. These scratches healed almost immediately, half gone the next day and fully gone by day 2. Had the entity finally revealed its true purpose and nature? Usually claw marks are paranormal situations related to demonic entity. Demonic entities usually led to cases of possession. The doll may just be a temporary anchor to the physical world. Possession of human body may be in true intent. A human possession would have been almost possible for the demon to be extracted from our world, making the interaction between the spiritual and physical world much easier to manipulate. Due to the nature of Lou's experience, the doll was no longer believed to be a docile spirit, but inhuman and demonic in nature. Donna decided to contact a priest. Bringing in the big gun seems like the best way to go. Father Higgins was the priest that contacted with his help. Their case was referred to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren took immediate interest in the case and contacted Donna concerning the doll. The Warrens, after speaking with Donna, Angie, and Lou, came to the immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhuman presence. Spirits do not possess inanimate objects like a house or toys. They possess people, and inhuman spirits can attach itself to a place or object, as this is what occurs in the Annabelle case. This spirit manipulated the doll and created an illusion that it's being alive in order to be recognitions. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll. It was looking for the possess of a human host. The spirit, or in the case, inhuman demonic spirit, was essentially is the infestation stage of the phenomenon. It first began moving the doll around the apartment by means of teleportations to arouse an occupation curiosity in hopes that they would give it recognition. Then, predictably, the medium was brought into the apartment to communicate with it. The inhuman spirit, now able to communicate through the medium and preyed on the girl's emotional vulnerabilities by pretending to be a rather harmless, lost young girl. During the seance, it was allowed permission to haunt the apartment. Insofar as the demon is a negative spirit, is then said to be causing apparently negative phenomena to occur. It aroused fear to the doll's weird movements, brought about the materialization of disturbing handwritten notes, created symbolic drops of blood on the doll, and ultimately attacked Lou, even behind a symbolic mark of the beast. The next stage of the infestation phenomena would have been complete human possession. Had these experiences lasted another 2 or 3 more weeks, the spirit would have completely possessed, if not harmed or killed, one of the occupations in that house. An actual exorcism was conducted on the doll before they left, hoping it would rid Annabelle of the infestation's demon. Upon the conclusion of the investigation, Anne and Lorraine decided its best course of action was to prevent the spirit from doing further harm, was to relieve Donna of its presence and take the doll home with them. They weren't completely sure if the doll had been exorcised of the entity. I I do hope you enjoyed this little story. Should you have ever wanted to visit the famous Annabelle, she can be found in Warren Occult Museum in Modus, Connecticut. The museum is run by Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigator, and now frequent guest of the used to television show Paranormal State, and is well known in the movies of The Conjuring. Warren related the Annabelle still moves about occasionally and is still known to make growling noises at unsuspecting visitors.